Hi everyone, welcome to GTCoding. In this video, I'll show you how to upload images to your web server using PHP. So first of all, let me show you what we're going to be building in this video. So this is the web page that we're going to build, and here we can see we have an ID. This ID comes from our index.php file which we have over here, and we have set an ID variable to 1. So our ID is 1 over here, and here we can choose a file and upload it to our server. Now if I go to my project folder, we can see we have a folder called img, and all our images will be stored in our img folder. And we also have a database called file upload tutorial, and here we have a table called profile pic, and all our images and the path of our image will be stored in our database, and it will be shown in our page over here. So let's go ahead and upload an image. Let's click on this image and click on open. We can see the name of our file over here, and if I click on upload, we can see that our image is displayed over here. And if I go to the project folder, here we can see our image is copied over here as well. And let's check our database. Go over here and we will refresh our page, and here we can see we have the ID, and we have the paths of our image, and we also have this random ID for our image. So now if you go ahead and choose another file, so we'll just click on choose file, and we'll upload this image. So let's go ahead and click on open, and if I click on upload, here we can see the image has changed. And if you go back to our project folder, we can see that the previous image has been deleted, and this image has been copied to our project folder. Now if you go to our database and if you refresh our database, we can see that the path has changed over here as well. It ends with 8 over here, and if you go to our image, we can see we have the same ID over here. Now we'll go ahead and change this ID and upload an image for another ID. So we'll just change this to 5, and if I refresh my page, here we can see the ID of 5 is displayed over here. And let's go ahead and choose a file. So I'll just click on this image over here and click on open and click on upload, and we can see the image has been uploaded for the ID 5. Let's go ahead and check in our database. Here we can see we have ID 5 and the paths of the new image. Let's go to our project folder, and here we can see both the images. That's because this image is for a different ID and this for a different ID. So this is basically what we're going to create in this video. Alright, now before getting started, if you are completely new to PHP programming, you can watch my YouTube video where I teach the basics of PHP, and then you'll be able to understand this better. And I also do have a course on Skillshare regarding database connectivity with PHP using PDO, so you can go ahead and watch that as well. So let's get started with this video. First of all, let's create our project folder. So we'll go to our htdocs folder inside our XAMPP, and here we'll create a new folder, and we will name it file upload. And in here we'll create one more folder for storing our images, and let's open this folder with VS Code. So here's our project in VS Code. Let's go ahead and create a new file called index.php, and we'll also create a file called style.css. Alright, so in our index.php, first of all we will have some basic HTML5 boilerplate. In VS Code you can just type exclamation and press tab, and you'll get this basic HTML5 boilerplate. So for the title we will name it file upload. We'll also link our CSS file. Alright, so we'll create a division with a class name of container, and here we'll create a span for our user ID. So we'll give it a class name of user ID, and here we will type ID equals, and here we will echo our ID variable. So for that, first of all we have to initialize our ID variable. So we'll go ahead and Here we'll create an ID variable and give it a number. Alright, now we will have an h1 and we'll type please upload your image, and then we will have a form, and the action will be process.php, which we will create, and the method will be post. And since we are uploading images using our form, we have to have one more attribute called enc type, and we'll set it to multi-part /form -data. Alright, in our form we need to have an input of type file, because we want the user to upload a file, and we'll give it a name of profile pic, and we'll have a submit button, and the name should be submit, and the value will be upload. And we also need to store our ID, so we'll pass a hidden input, so we'll type input of type hidden, and we will name it ID, and the value will be the ID of our page, so we will type PHP echo ID. Alright, so that's it with the form. Now we'll create a division for the profile picture, and for the source we need to get the data from the database, so we'll do that later. And for the alt we will type profile picture. Alright, so that's it with our markup. Now we'll go ahead and give some basic styling. Before that, let's go ahead and open our page over here, so just type file upload and press enter. Here we can see the ID, we have the heading, and we can choose files from here, and we have the upload button and the profile picture. Alright, so let's go ahead and style our page. First of all, we will style the body, and for the font family we will set it to Roboto Thin. If you don't have this font installed on your system, it will not work. So for that you may have to install the font on your system, or you can also use Google Fonts. For the color, we will set the color to EBEAEA. Now for the container, we'll set the margin to 48 pixels and auto, width of 500 pixels, padding of 32 pixels, background color of 1B3F43. Now for the H1, we will set the text align to center, padding of 16 pixels. For the user ID, we'll set the background to black, padding of 12 pixels, font weight of bold, font size of 18 pixels, border radius of 8 pixels. Now for the form, we will set the display to flex, and justify content to space between, width of 100%. Now for the form input, we will type flex 1, font size of 18 pixels, border of 1 pixel solid black, padding of 8 pixels. Now we will style the profile picture, margin of 24 pixels auto, padding of 16 pixels, width of 300 pixels. Now the profile picture image, we'll set the width to 100%, border radius of 32 pixels. Alright, so that's it with the styling. Let's go ahead and refresh our page. That's it with the design. Now let's go ahead and write the PHP to upload our profile picture. But before that, let's go ahead and create our database. So just go to localhost /PHP MyAdmin and click on new, and here we'll create a database, and we'll name the database file upload, and press enter. And for the table name, we will give it a name of profile pic, and we'll have 2 columns, one for the ID and one for the image path. So for the first column we will type ID, the type will be int, and here we will set it to auto increment, and we'll also set it to primary so that each record will be unique. And the next one will be called profile pic, and we'll change the type to varchar and we'll set the length to 255. Alright, so that's basically it. Now let's go ahead and click on save. Now here we can see we have this file upload database, and we have this profile pic table and these two columns over here. Now let's go to VS Code, and here we will create a new file to write all our database operations. So we'll click on new file, and we'll name the file db.php, and we'll go into PHP mode, and here we will write the code to connect to the database and also all the code for performing different operations on the database. So we'll create a class called db in here. So we'll type class db, and here we'll create a private variable called con, and we are creating this private variable over here because we don't want this variable to be accessed from outside this class. Alright, so now we'll create a constructor, and we'll write the code for connection inside our constructor. So to create a constructor in PHP, you have to type public function underscore construct, and here we will write the code inside a try catch block so that we can catch any exception that we get. Alright, so the first thing we'll do is create a new PDO object, and we will set this con variable to that new object. So we'll type this arrow con. We have to type this over here because we are accessing this variable from this class, and we'll set it equal to new PDO, and in PDO we need to have some arguments. So the first one is the DSN. It will differ based on the database that you are using. We are using MySQL, so we have to type MySQL colon host equals localhost because we are on a local host, and db name equals, and here we have to type the name of our database. So the name of our database is file upload. So here we will type file upload, and the next argument is the database user. So our user is called root, so we'll type root over here, and the next one is the password. My password is blank, so I'll just set it to blank. Now to use PDO exceptions, we have to set an attribute to this con object. So we'll type this arrow con arrow set attribute, and here we have to pass two parameters. The first one is PDO colon attr underscore error mode, and the next argument is PDO colon error mode underscore exception. So now we can use the PDO exception class. So we'll type PDO exception, and we'll create a variable, and here we'll print that the connection is not successful, connection failed, and we'll also provide the error message. So e arrow get message, and here we will print connection successful. Now let's go to index.php file, and we'll require this db.php file over here, and we'll see whether our connection is working. So we'll type db.php, and whenever we instantiate this db class, this constructor will run. So let's go ahead and instantiate our db class. So we'll type my db equals new db. Alright, so let's go to our web page, and if we refresh our page, we want to see a message called connection successful, and here we can see we have this connection successful printed over here. So our connection is working. Now let's go ahead and create some more methods over here. Now we want to create methods for inserting image, updating image, and fetching image. So these are the three methods that we are going to create, and let's also delete this line of code from here. We don't want it to be displayed on our page. Alright, so here we'll create a new function, public function insert pic, and we'll receive two parameters. One is the ID and the other is the path of our picture. Now we'll create a query over here, and in our query we will type insert into, and the table name is profile pic, and the columns are ID and profile pic, and then we'll type values, and here we will have named placeholders, so we'll type colon ID and colon profile pic. Alright, so that's it with the query. Now let's go ahead and prepare our statement. This arrow con arrow prepare, and we'll pass in the query. Now we'll execute our statement, and here we have to pass the values for these named parameters, and the values are these two variables that we get as a parameter, and we also have to include that inside an array. So here we will type ID, and it will equal to the ID, and profile pic, and it will equal to the pic over here. Alright, so that's it with the insert method. Now let's just copy this from here, and we'll make some minor changes for our update method. So for the name we will type change pic, and we will receive the ID and the pic as the arguments, and we'll delete this query, and here we will type update, and the name of our table profile pic, set profile pic, that is the name of our column, and it will equal to a named parameter. So here we'll create a new named parameter profile pic, or we'll just name it pic. Here we will set a where clause where ID equals, and we'll create a new named parameter. So this is our query, and here we have ID equals this ID over here, and here we have set it to pic, so we can change this to pic. You can name it anything you want. Alright, so the last thing is to fetch the image. So just paste this over here, and we'll change the name to get profile pic, and we'll receive just the ID, and just delete this query, and here we will type select star from profile pic where ID equals ID, and here we prepare the query, and here we need to have only the ID, so just get rid of the profile pic. Now what we need to do over here is return the data, so we'll type data, and we'll type statement arrow fetch, and it'll fetch all the data, and it'll store it inside this data variable, and at last we'll return the data variable. So that's it with our db.php file. Now the next thing we will do is create a process.php file that we had mentioned over here. So whenever this form is submitted, it will go to process.php file. So let's go ahead and create this file. Now the first thing we'll do over here is require the db.php file, and we'll also instantiate the db class. Now let's check whether the submit button is set. So here we will write an if condition, if is set, and here we'll type $_post submit. This is the name of the button that we had over here, so the name is submit, and if that is true, then we have to upload the image. So first of all we will store the ID and the profile pic, so we'll create a new variable called ID $_post ID, and we'll just paste it over here, and here we will type profile pic, and we have to make sure that this name matches exactly as this. So here we have a pic with a capital P, so I'll just copy this from here and we'll paste it over here. Now one thing you need to note over here is that whenever you are accessing data from an input type of file, you have to type $_files over here instead of post or get. Alright, so now let's go ahead and display the ID and the profile pic. So we'll type echo ID, we'll have a line break, and this profile pic over here will be an array. So here we will type var dump profile pic. Alright, so now let's go ahead and refresh our page and see what we get. So we'll click on choose file and we'll select this file over here and click on open, and now we'll click on upload, and here we can see we have the ID 1, and this is the file that we uploaded, and we have different data about our file, the name and the type and the temporary name and all these things. Now we have to extract some details from our profile pic variable. So the first thing is the temporary file name that we'll use to copy our file. So we'll create a new variable called temp file name, and we'll set it equal to $_files, and the name was profile pic, and we know that it is an array, so we can access these values by using the name, type and tmp name. So this is what we want, so we'll just copy this tmp name from here, and here we will type tmp name. The next thing is we need to have the file type, so we'll create a new variable file type, and there's a built-in method in PHP called path info, and you have to have two arguments over here. The first one is the name of our files. If you go to our page, here we can see if you type name, we can get this name of the file, and then we can extract this file type from here. So we'll just copy this from here, and we'll change this to name, and the second parameter is called path info underscore extension, and then we'll create a new variable called file name. So this is the target file name, so we want it to be unique. So there's the built-in method in PHP called unique ID, and this method will generate a unique ID for us, and we can have different options over here. We can also have some prefix, so we'll have a prefix called GT dash, and then we'll concatenate the file type dot file type. So we have this unique name with GT dash as the prefix, and then we have the dot and the file type. Now the last thing we need is the target path, so we'll type target path, and we want the image to be stored inside the img folder, so we'll type img / file name. Now let's go ahead and display these variables on our screen so that we know everything is working right. So let's just copy this from here, and we'll delete these two lines of code, and here we will type id : id, and we'll copy this a couple more times. The next is the temp file name, and the next is the file type, and the next is the file name, and this is the target file name, so just type target file name, and the last thing is the target path. Alright, so let's go ahead and refresh our page, and here we can see the ID, the temporary file name is this, and the file type is JPG, the target file name is GT dash, and we have this unique ID and .jpg, and the target path is img / the name of our file. So everything is working all right. Now the next thing we'll do is check whether we already have a profile picture associated with the current ID. So we'll create a new variable called data, and we'll create a function called check existing pic, and we'll pass the ID and the DB. So just create this function over here, function check existing pic, ID and DB, and we'll call this get profile pic function from our DB class. So we will type return DB arrow get profile pic, and we'll pass the ID. Alright, so now when we already have an image, we will get the image inside our data, and if you don't have the image, this data variable will be null. Now there's the built-in method in PHP called move uploaded file. So we'll type move uploaded file, and here we have to give it the file name and the destination. So we'll type temp file name and the target path. These are the variables that we created over here, this temp file name and target path. Now this method move uploaded file returns a boolean, that is, it returns true or false. So we can put this inside an if condition. So if this is true, that means if the image has been moved, and here we will have one more if condition to check whether we already have an uploaded image. So we'll type if not data. So this means that if this data variable is null, then we want to perform this operation, and it's really simple. We already have instantiated our class. So we'll type db arrow insert pic, and we'll pass the ID and the target path. Now if we already have an image, then what we'll do is first of all delete the current image. So there's a built-in method in PHP called unlink. This is used to delete a file. So we'll pass data profile pic. So this data is returned from this function over here. So we get the current profile picture, and we will delete that data using this unlink function, and then we'll use the change pic method from our DB class, and we'll pass the ID and the target path. And the last thing is to return to our index.php file. So we have to type header location index.php, and if the file has not been copied, then we'll just echo problem uploading image. Alright, so that's basically it with our process.php file. Now let's go to our index.php file, and the last thing we need to do is enter the source attribute over here. So in the source attribute, we have to get the current profile pic. So we'll go ahead and here we'll just cut this and paste it over here, and here we'll create a new variable called current profile pic, and we'll set it equal to db arrow get profile pic, and we'll pass the ID, and we'll just copy this variable from here, and we will echo it over here. So here we'll type echo current profile pic, and then the profile pic from there. That's basically it with our website. Let's go ahead and check whether everything is working. So let's go back and refresh our page, and we have this error on line 8 that variable db is undefined. Let's go ahead and here we can see that we had named the variable mydb, and we named it db over here. So we'll just change this to db, and we'll just refresh our page. Alright, so let's go ahead and choose a new file, and we'll click on open and click on upload, and let's go back and refresh our page, and here we can see our image, but we want to redirect to index.php. Let's go to our VS Code and in our process.php file, here we can see that if you don't have any data, we haven't copied this line of code over here. So let's just copy this from here and paste it over here. So now whenever the data is inserted, will be redirected to index.php file. Now let's go to our database and refresh it and click on browse, and here we can see ID number 1 and we have this image over here. Let's go to the project folder, and if you go to img folder, here we can see the image. Now let's go ahead and change our profile picture. So we'll just click on choose file and we'll choose this keyboard over here, click on open and then click on upload, and we have this keyboard image over here. And if you notice, we can see we have 915E at the end. We'll just refresh this, and here we can see we have a different ID. And if you go to our img, we have a different ID and a different image. The old image has been deleted. Now let's go ahead and change the ID. So if we go to index.php and we'll change the ID to 15 and we'll refresh our page. So we don't have any profile picture over here. We'll click on choose file and we will select a file from here and we'll click on upload, and we have this profile picture over here. We'll go to our database and refresh our database. We have the ID 15 and the image, and if we go to our project folder, we have both the images. So that's basically it with our project. If you want, you can also go ahead and check whether the image is less than a certain file size, and you can also restrict the user to select a certain type of file and all those things. But this is the basics of uploading an image to your web server using PHP. So if you have any doubts, you can ask in the comments below, and if you like this video, please click on the like button and subscribe to this channel to get the latest updates. Thanks a lot for watching. Have a nice day.